Hi, it is Erin. It is VEDA day 11. I just had to stop this morning and take a little break. I'm just a little frustrated. I know I shouldn't let it get to me, but sometimes I just get really irritated when the passenger says that they want to go a different way than the GPS, which, normally would be fine. And I mean, it is fine. It's fine if they want to go a different way. Okay, that's fine. But we're in the DC area, and if the GPS that I'm using, which is Waze, says to go a certain way, the reason it's saying to go a certain way is usually because there's a whole lot of traffic. So it just drives me crazy when, passengers will be the backseat driver and say, oh, well, why are you going that way? Go this way, go this way. Okay, I obviously need a new mount because this mount is not sticking to my windshield. So luckily I don't have that problem with the mount that I use for my phone for the navigation, because that would be really bad if it just fell in the middle of me driving, even though that I keep that over here on this part of the windshield, and I just put this mount up here. So I don't know why it doesn't stick. Anyway, doesn't matter. I'm back. So I was talking about the DC area and how there's a lot of traffic around here, and the reason that Waze is saying to go a certain way is because usually there's traffic headed up ahead, and that's why the GPS is trying to avoid it. So I had this guy who had to go to Reagan National, and so we were coming up 395, and I'm about, and I hope this isn't too irrelevant for people who don't drive around here, but I have I was about to take the exit. I was planning on taking the exit to Boundary Channel Drive to go to the airport that way. And, I happened to be in the right lane, and he was like, exit here. And I'm like, okay, like, fine. He wanted me to exit at that Crystal City exit where you go down, and then you have to go down Route 1, and then you go, up the little hill to get to the airport. So I was like, I said, well, okay, but I think that the reason it's telling me to go this way is because there's traffic in Crystal City. He's like, no, go that way. And he's like freaking out. So I'm like, okay. So I went through Crystal City the way he wanted me to go instead of taking the route that the GPS is telling me to. And guess what? We ended up getting to the airport 6 minutes later than what the estimated time was if we had followed the GPS the way that it was telling me to go down Boundary Channel Drive, which is the way that I usually go, unless there's traffic, further up on 395 that makes it, not make sense to go all the way down there. So, the point is, for people who don't know what I'm talking about, who don't drive in this area, there are a couple different ways to get to the airport, and they all pretty much even out unless there's a lot of traffic in a certain area. So, instead of just trusting me and trusting that I knew where I was going and that the GPS knew what it was doing, he's like freaking out, turn here, turn there. And then, when he saw that we were going to end up being later than what the estimated arrival time was from before, he said, oh, what GPS are you using? I said, I use Waze. He's like, oh, does that really help out with the traffic? And I said, well, yeah, it does, because it detects the traffic patterns in real time, because it's people who are actually reporting traffic incidents as they're happening. So if it says that there's traffic going somewhere, there's usually traffic. He was like, oh, okay. Well, good thing I don't have to be, actually at the airport right this second or something like that. Like, he had plenty of time to get to the airport. So that 6 minutes that, he was later really didn't make a difference. But then I'm thinking, okay, if that time didn't make a difference, then why was he freaking out that I wasn't going the way that he thought that I should go to get to the airport? So anyway, so I was like, okay, whatever. Got him to the airport. He was like, okay, thanks for the ride or whatever. And I was like, all right, see ya. And just happy that I didn't have to deal with that anymore. Because I just can't stand it when people are trying to, you know, navigate me around when either I know where I'm going or I'm following the GPS the way that the GPS is telling me to go. So then, then I picked up a woman in Arlington who needed to go to Georgetown. And, you know, DC is a popular vacation spot, especially for spring break. And for the summer, people come here to see all the sights, look at the museums. Georgetown is very busy. So, I you know, started taking her, and, we were going, I got off in DC, I got off of the highway, and, it was telling me to, the GPS was telling me to go down K Street because she needed to go to a certain spot in Georgetown. And she was like, no, don't turn here. You know, and again, I'm like, okay, well, which way would you like me to go? And she was like, just go straight and then turn up there. Not, you know, giving me exactly where to turn, but just turn up there. So I'm like, okay. So I went straight. And at the next intersection, I said, okay, so turn left here. No, turn up there. Again, this vague up there that I didn't know what it was. So I said, okay, I'll keep going. And so I got to the next intersection, and she said, yes, left here, left here. So I was like, okay. So I turned left, and she kept giving me these play-by-play instructions, but telling me things at the last minute. You know, I kept asking, is it here? Is it here? And she would say, no, no, no. And then when I would ask at the, you know, at each intersection, she'd say, okay, yes, go this way, go that way, go this way. So I'm like, okay, well, that's fine. And again, it was a situation where Waze was sending me down a certain way because there was so much traffic in Georgetown. And, you know, she has no way of knowing this. I have no way of knowing this, but the GPS system is able to tell me if there's traffic because everybody else is reporting it. So we ended up getting to her destination 3 minutes later than she would have originally gotten there because we had to go her way instead of going the way that the GPS said. And I'm not saying that that GPS system is perfect because, like I said, sometimes it just doesn't know where things are in Virginia. Sometimes it doesn't know a whole neighborhood, or it tries to drop me off at an area where, you know, that it's just wrong. Or like, you know, it might be a couple of houses down from where the actual destination is or whatever. It's not perfect. But, you know, I can say in DC and definitely going to the airport, you know, it knows where it's trying to direct the people who are using the GPS. So it just frustrated me because I'm like, okay, you know, want to be so in charge of where we're going, but you're not seeming to understand that the GPS is telling me the most direct way to go. Like last week, I had a guy who it was the person I talked about before, the person who was blind. And, you know, I turned early off of one of the streets to go sort of like a little back way shortcut. And he was like, oh, this is a different way. And I was like, yeah, I think it's because traffic is building up ahead. And he was like, oh, okay. You know, like no skin off his back. He didn't care, like whatever you say, you know, because he's not going to, you know, most people don't freak out. Like if you say, oh, it's just because there's traffic ahead, or it looks like maybe there's something going on, most people say, oh, okay. Most people aren't all demanding like, no, turn here, turn there, go, 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 go. So that's what I feel like it is. It drives me nuts. But anyway, so I just had to sit here and vent because it just really bothered me. So I decided to take a little break and, you know, finish up doing, you know, the time that I planned on driving for today. And then that's it. So, yeah, everything driving for Uber definitely isn't sunshine and roses, and people definitely piss me off sometimes. But, you know, that it is pretty much few and far between, but still, it's just really irritating when I have a backseat driver that thinks that, you know, they need to tell me exactly where to go. So, whatever. Anyway, that's it for the day. Thank you for listening to my little rant. Again, this is VEDA day 11, and I really appreciate that you're watching. And please subscribe. Feel free to comment. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you next time.